are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to the Knicks Recap, your source for all New York Knicks related content. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Knicks Recap, your source for all New York Knicks related content. I'm your host, Troy, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you stay updated with all of our latest episodes. So I know this might be a little weird because you normally like to see me on the screen, but today I got a guest with me, and he is 13 years in to this New York Knicks podcast. If you don't know, I'm with my main man, Jay, from the New York Knicks podcast. And I say again, one of the longest running podcasts out there today. Jay, what's going on, my man?
Happy to join you. Happy for some real basketball.
Yeah.
It's go time.
It's go time, man. It is go time. I've been too hyped. All right. I have a little too much time on my hands. So I've been making some graphics. Now, listen, you may love them. You may hate them. I want basketball back. So
You've been doing a great job with those, by the way.
I appreciate you, Jay. Thank you so much, man. Listen, it's hard work, but you know what? I love the interaction and the fans that, comment on it because that helps me get through the times where basketball is not in my life. Mm-hmm. And the All-Star game made me want basketball even more because that shit show was not only non-competitive, but goddamn near unwatchable. I don't know what they got to do to make it competitive again, but if they don't do anything, Jay, I'm worried for what this is going to be because it might kind of be, it's going up there in terms of like one of the worst things to watch for like an all-star type of thing. Like I don't even look forward to it as much anymore.
I haven't watched the actual All-Star game in years. I watched the 3-point contest, the dunk contest. I'm almost out on.
Right.
And they're starting to make 3-point contest cheesy with starry balls and like, I don't know. It's too gimmicky now. So.
Well, the thing is, the 3-point contest took over what the dunk contest was, right? Because if you remember, even in the 90s, dunking was the thing, right?
Yeah.
Now you get to the Steph Curry, shooting is the thing. So what's featured more now? The 3-point contest. And more people want to join that. And to be honest, it's less embarrassing because it's easier to say, oh, I had an off night shooting versus I can't even make a dunk in front of my face. So a lot of
talking about Randall's 13 points in the 3-point shooting contest. Everyone's talking about Sims with his elbow dunks.
Or they're talking about Kevin Huerta from the Kings, who had a worse performance. I think he had 8.
Yeah,
right?
That's like one of the worst. That might be the worst I've ever seen in the 3-point contest.
I felt in a way so good though, because it wasn't Julius. So
exactly.
I was very happy about the fact that I could say it wasn't Julius.
Everyone instantly forgot about Julius. So thank you, Kevin.
For a fact, had he had the worst record, they would have made a mockery all over Knicks Twitter. It would have been the number one thing you saw when you logged in that morning.
Absolutely.
That's what they do.
Yep.
But listen, man, like you said, I'm very happy to talk ball again. Knicks are playing very, very soon against the Wizards, which I can't wait for that game. So we're going to talk about that obviously today. A lot of good content to cover, really, because nobody's really been talking about basketball, been talking about other things. So it's good to actually have a space to talk about this and be a little bit more refreshing, especially with somebody who's been in the game for so long, has seen basically every single era, not really good, kind of good, back to really bad, and now, closing in on a playoff run that nobody saw coming. Yeah. So really, that's kind of where we are right now. And that's where I want to kind of start it off with, Jay. We really never, at least for me, and I remember talking to you guys, you and Mark, the beginning before the season started, we all didn't peg them as a playoff team. We saw them as a firmly placed play-in team. And now I know we have 22 games left and anything can happen, but I don't know about you, but I see them, firmly a playoff team now. I see their outlook maybe ceiling 5th seed, but that's kind of where it is for me. What about you with this Knicks team? Where do you see them now, and have they surprised you for where they are, from what we saw them or we thought we were going to see them in the beginning of the season to where they are now?
Yeah, they have surprised me. Beginning of the season, I was thinking they're about 500. They're going to finish probably 9th or 10th. Yeah, maybe win the play-in tournament when they get
Right.
rocked in the first round.
Right.
Now it's like, considering Mitch had such a long injury,
Right.
and not only did they ride that out, he's probably coming back this week. They're winning games without him, and it can only get better with him on the court. I mean, he's such a huge upgrade over Sims that you got to think this is
You're
gonna.
going to anger those Sims fans because they want to see him play more. They do.
We saw him play enough, but that's fine. Hart has fit in so seamlessly. He looks like he's been on the team for 5 years. So now you got Hart, and then you're adding Mitch back. Definite playoff team.
Right.
They caught Miami. You got to think Brooklyn's probably going to fade a little bit.
Yeah.
So 4-5 playoffs or 3-6 is, I would think, almost guaranteed at this point.
Right. I think I'm right there with you. I think they have the East has gotten weaker given the moves, right? I think we've all seen that. It was pretty stacked. I'm not saying it's not as stacked now, but it's a little weaker. Obviously, Brooklyn, one of the mega teams, has gone completely down. I'm not saying they don't have a chance to continue still being in the playoffs. I mean, they have a good shot with the games they've won already. And then you think about the games that they still need to play. The schedule is a little bit tough coming up, but I don't know what Mikal Bridges can do for that team. If he keeps putting up 45 points like that, maybe they got a shot to, make some noise. I don't know. But what I can say is I agree. I think the Knicks are going to be the playoff team. The thing is, who do you want to see in that first round? I know we had a question from Nickinator on Twitter who basically asked us the same thing in regards to when the Knicks make the playoffs. And I'm going to say when now, fans, because for me, it's a firm belief that they're going to make it. When they make the playoffs, who are they going to face in the first round? I don't want to see Philly. I don't want to see Boston. And I don't want to see Milwaukee. So it really gives you whoever going to take that 60, whether Brooklyn keeps it or, I believe we're going to be past Brooklyn. So I think we're going to be in the 5th seed. Brooklyn's going to fall. And I think Brooklyn's going to have the 6th. I don't know if the Hawks make a run for it or who's going to try to take that last spot. But I think that for the Knicks to do this right and got a shot to make out of the first round to go to the second round, they got to play the Cavs. I don't see a better fit and matchup than the Cavaliers right now. And how poetic would it be for Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell to see each other again on different teams in a different conference in the same scenario?
I mean, with the Cavs, if Donovan Mitchell goes off, it's going to be unbearable. It's going to be the most annoying thing. I actually think they have a really good chance against Philly.
Ooh. Why do you think that?
I don't think they're deep at all. I think they have Maxey off the bench, and that's about it for their bench.
Right.
You got Harden, who doesn't have the best playoff track record, and Embiid, who he's had trouble staying healthy in the playoffs.
True.
And then they're starting Tucker. Like, it's not a deep team. Like, they're like an ankle roll away from a first round exit, and I want to be there for that ankle roll.
Oh man, look, Philly. Listen, I get the Philly thing. A lot of people actually have told me that they believe Philly is the team that they can take to. Cavs and Philly. That's what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Harden, you're right. He is not a great number 2, honestly, because he will fade. We've seen that before. But his fading usually starts in the second round.
It does.
He's usually a very strong first round. If I actually looked it up, I forget the exact stats, but he has very strong playoff first rounds. I believe he sweeps a lot of the teams when he's on the team. So it's a scare. Again, that's with him. And he was the core person in Houston. Now we're talking about adding a Joel Embiid. For whatever you want to say about Joel Embiid, he's in the MVP running, right? There's a reason for that because he's talented beyond belief. Well, for what he does and the slow freaking movements as he falls to the floor, I think he falls slow to the floor than Shaq, man. I've never seen somebody fall to the floor so slow, and he does it almost all the time. But even given that, he's a talent, no less. So you add those two to the mix. I get that their bench is weak, but their 2 stars are all-star Hall of Fame type of players. I think that alone carries them past us. You think the Knicks can handle a playoff Harden and Embiid combo?
I do. I think the Knicks are really deep defense wise. I think Philly is a really good, like, in a shootout, Philly's going to win. But if
Yeah.
the Knicks can slow it down and just grind it out, I think they can. Rob in the chat room says Knicks in 6.
Wait, over the Philly?
Over Philly, yeah. I could see it.
Oh man. All right. Listen, I don't like Harden either.
Offensive
I,
weapon.
listen, I don't like Harden either, Jay. But there's no shot that the Knicks are beating Philly in 6. I'm sorry. They're not beating them in 6. You can quote me on this. They're not beating them in 6. Please don't wish this. Nick, please don't wish this. Okay? Please don't do this.
Conversely, I think the Cavs are deep, and I think they could just keep running guys out there all day.
Who are they running? Though? What, Karis LeVert, who can barely make a shot now, and he got relegated to the bench? How about Jared Allen when he sees Mitchell Robinson? How about Evan Mobley when Julius Randle eats him alive? How about Donovan Mitchell when he sees playoff Jalen Brunson again? Listen, man, I love the matchup with the Knicks and Cavs, not only for the storylines of it, because it would be a great storyline, but just because the matchup works. And the Knicks win those matchups more times than they lose it. They might be deep. You're right about that. But the depth only goes as far as the starters can take them. Because if the starters don't get you anything, the bench is coming in to keep what afloat. They're going to try to get elite at that point. And you know what? With the Knicks bench and how they're running, and we're going to talk about Josh Hart and what he means, they look more cohesive. I've never seen a defensive sequence from the bench unit that I've seen played more perfectly than the couple of sequences I saw to start the second quarter against the Atlanta Hawks. And Jay, if you watched the game and you saw that beginning, Obi Toppin looked energized, blocking shots. Hartenstein blocking shots. Josh Hart blocked the shot, grabbed the rebound, passed it quickly for an open court layup. That's beautiful basketball, Jay. Like, I see, like, that's why I'm saying I think that you put them together, Cavs and Knicks, makes more sense than Philly. Like, my camera fucking shook because the earth is shook when I said Philly. Philly and friggin' Knicks. I'm sorry. I don't see that matchup favorable for us. I see us personally losing that. Not because I want the Knicks to lose, obviously. The matchup just doesn't get favored. 2 all-stars. And they're playing like all-stars this season. And Philly has a way, like Doc Rivers coach teams have a way, they turn it up just a little bit going into the offseason. Always. Into the playoffs. Always. So I'm worried about Philly in that regard. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them. I think they could actually make it out of the first, go to the second, and make it competitive, man. I don't know. I think people are sleeping on Philly, but that's just me. Let's before I want to go into more Knicks things. Let me fix my camera real quick. I shook the earth. There we go. I want to talk about, more Knicks stuff, but this is kind of Knicks related.
Okay.
Carmelo Anthony. Right. So Melo wasn't signed. We had up till Thursday to add a player. We obviously added Trevor Keels. If you didn't know that, we signed him to a 10-day contract, right?
Yep. That was their second round pick.
Correct, right? And everybody was adding me like, "Oh my God, what does it do for this team?" Nothing. Nothing. He's a body. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. See, 13 years. See what I'm talking about? See how I have to say it? He knows.
He's new Svi.
Right. Exactly right. He's a body for practice.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for. And situational, if that makes you feel better. He's situational. Behind God knows how many players.
Yeah. If the situation is 6 guys get injured, then he'll play.
There you go. So there's a hope. Very slim, but that's what it means, folks. Please don't get upset about this. They weren't going to sign Melo. Not in the mid of a season right now, because they feel like they got the 9 guys that they think are going to take them to the dance.
Yeah.
When you feel like you got the 9 guys that are going to take you there, why ruin it? Why alter it? Right? Move it. You can make the argument right now that their offensive game might take it with Mitch coming back, because his offensive game isn't as strong. But his defense is great and amazing. And the offensive rebounding that him and Josh Hart are probably going to do on the boards are going to be crazy. Like, I want to see a team do something on us with the offensive rebounding, because Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson in the same lineup, and don't get it wrong, Julius Randle's grabbing, very, very good amount of rebounds this year. That's 3 people who search and grab and try to grab every single rebound. That's going to be tough.
Hart's an elite rebounder.
Amazing. Plays bigger than his size, right, Jay?
averaging over 8 boards a game as a shooting guard. That's elite. Yeah.
That's what? 8? Come on now. I know centers that can't even average that.
We've had centers that can't average that. Almost every
Listen,
year.
man. Listen. We're in it, so we might as well talk about it. Josh Hart, man. So I love the signing when we did it. I was a little concerned about the 2023 pick. I'm not gonna lie. That did bother me a little bit because it was our pick.
And
I
it's
think
a draft class. Yeah.
right, exactly. Now I know the Dallas pick, we're gonna get that. I know Luka and Kyrie are gonna take them there, so I know we're gonna get that. The argument, I guess, is where we're gonna fall with the draft pick. Here's my thing. Here's how I rationalized it. The Knicks were only gonna draft one player of merit to develop. They weren't gonna draft 2 guys. And the people who are arguing, well, you still traded a first round pick. My argument to that is, what did you want to do and what have you lost? Because everything you want to do, you still can do. You haven't lost the ability to do that. You still want those sweetener picks? We have them. You can add them to the unprotected first round picks you're going to need to give up if you want that star. So you still have the ability to do that. So I thought if you're looking at it from that regard, and that's how probably the Knicks saw it, they didn't lose anything. They still have a pick in 2023 like they wanted. They're only going to draft one player there like they wanted. They got a bunch of, I think they have 2 second-round picks in this loaded 2023 draft. So again, they get more talent there, and they might use that to move up in the first round again. Who knows? I mean, who knows what they can do with those picks? They can package it with a player and move in. There's so many options that they have. So I didn't mind the pick after I thought about it like that. And what can you hate about Josh Hart now? We're undefeated when he's playing.
If Hart keeps playing like this and the Knicks keep gelling like this,
yeah,
that pick they traded away is going to be like the 23rd, 24th pick in the draft.
So you're seeing them skyrocketing up the ladder there. You see them going maybe the 4th, if you're saying that.
I feel like the West is just beating each other up so bad that you can move up. I don't think there's no, like, other than Denver, nobody who's going to have like a really good record in the West.
Grizzlies are somebody to watch as well too. I think Memphis is playing well with Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr. I'd give them again. They're young though, so that's why they're counted out because of their age, and nobody thinks Ja Morant could lead a team to a championship. At least not right now. There's been a lot of hate about him in regards to his age and his game and what he can do. But I think the Grizzlies are ready to make some noise. I think they were a Jaren Jackson Jr. away from making noise, and now they have arguably the best defensive player in the league on their team paired with Ja Morant.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying Memphis isn't a really good team. I'm saying the Knicks are on pace for like 48 wins, and that's pretty high in comparison to the rest of the league. So that means that pick is just going to look that much worse. So
I wonder what 48 wins gets us in the East, where that lands us. I would say that probably lands us at fifth or fourth. Yeah, if we're around there.
5th with an outside chance of 4th.
Right?
Maybe Cleveland or Philly gets an injury and they go on a little bit of a losing streak.
And you never know. I mean, Cleveland could, turn it around the other way. So we don't know what's going to happen about that. I don't have this as one of the note things here, Jay. So I apologize, but I got to ask. We're talking about Josh Hart. We're talking about, what he means and, his value to the team and what we've seen over the past few games where it looks like the team is responding in such a positive way to him. What's going on with RJ Barrett?
Here we go.
I didn't write it down because obviously sometimes you don't like to talk about these things. I don't like to talk about it too much, but I feel like at some point we have to address it. I've addressed it at length on my show. And obviously with the collab here, I think it's good for your audience to kind of hear it as well too. RJ Barrett, we're paying him. He's going to get his contract this summer. He hasn't gotten it yet, right? He's going to get it. Once he gets that contract,
he has his contract.
Well, I'm talking about it doesn't start till the summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So once
he's getting paid.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to get paid. So once he's in that contract, right? Which again, of course, we already know he's in it. But once he's in that contract, he'll be one of the highest paid Knicks on the roster.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that at this present time, he is one of the worst performing Knicks on the roster, not only in his efficiency, but also his defense. They both have taken a hit this season.
Yeah.
And he seems to settle more for the open three, which he's missed.
He can't
even hit iron.
No.
If you saw the Atlanta game, he missed 2 open threes, couldn't hit iron.
Yeah.
Doesn't utilize his strength, which is his best part of his game. RJ Barrett's been a mess. And somebody has to say it. I'll say it. I don't mind. I don't hate the kid. I don't want to trade the kid. But at the same time, he's 22 years old. We understand that. But he's going through a really rough stretch. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to give him a little bit of, and try to take him in. Like, oh, he's a young man. Don't worry about it. He'll get it. He'll get it. RJ Barrett always does this. I don't want RJ Barrett to always do this. Like, I don't want him to do that.
The season's 75% over at this point. So like this is more than like he starts slow. Like the season's closer to done. His defense is taking a step back. His shooting is bad and inefficient. He looks really good when he drives, but like you said, he settles for threes all the time. There was a stretch where he was driving every play for a few games, and his efficiency was up. He was looking really good, and then he just went away from that. And I know he's only 22, but it's his fourth year. He's got over 200 games under his belt. This isn't like a small sample size anymore.
So what do you? So the thing is, there's a lot of comments right now going on with RJ Barrett. Obviously a lot of people are looking back saying, "Wow, what if he made the deal for Donovan? What if he made the deal for Donovan?"
Mhm.
Obviously you could say woulda, coulda, shoulda. I don't like to look back at that stuff right now, but RJ Barrett he's really the key piece here, because if he turns it on, that fourth seed is there. I'll say that now.
So much higher if RJ gets it together. It changes the whole thing. I mean, end game, you got an extra threat out there. You have to pay attention to him if you're defending the Knicks. Like it changes the whole dynamic of every game, and really hoping he gets it together.
He needs to, because that's the key for me. RJ Barrett is the key that will keep this Knicks team competitive, and he does have a tendency to turn it on during All-Star. After All-Star break, we've seen that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to keep saying that. At this point, I can't. There's no defense for RJ Barrett at this point. We can talk about excuses. I've made excuses for the kid.
Mhm.
But there's no defending this play anymore. Like you said, Jay, we're about 75% of the way gone.
Yeah.
What is there left to say?
Yeah.
He's taking a step back.
If he plays at an all-star level, the Knicks have 3 all-stars, and that's like, that's at least second round, maybe conference finals. Like, I don't know. He's the difference right there. I mean, I love Hart, but I don't expect his really great shooting start to last like that the rest of the season. We're going to need some other offensive weapons out there eventually.
Yeah, and RJ has to be the offensive weapon.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about trading for talent. Josh Hart's a talent, but he's not the needle mover talent. Yeah. He's definitely the person that you want. He's a core guy. He's a core piece, I think, not only because of what he brings off the bench with that energy and that passion, but he's just a really good basketball player. There's a reason Josh Hart was moved with all these major trades, right? Anthony Davis, CJ McCollum, right? They were moved for star players.
He keeps getting traded. I'm like, yeah, teams keep asking for him.
Right. Right. That's what do you think? Of course he's getting traded, because teams don't want to trade their star players without a Josh Hart. Yeah. What does that tell you?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man. Let's talk about Jalen fucking Brunson.
Let's do it.
Jalen Brunson, if he's not your favorite player, he's becoming my favorite player. I guess I can't stop watching this man dance on people. It's been the best show available for the Knicks that I've seen in at least 40 to 50 games, because they were still getting chemistry together.
Yep.
And whatnot, preseason and everything like that. But the team looks better. They look more cohesive. They are really driven in regards to when they attack. Mm-hmm. And I put that into the freaking pit bull that is our point guard in Jalen Brunson, who's putting up career highs in points and assists, but don't talk about that if you don't want to. Who got snubbed from the All-Star game twice. Don't talk about that if you don't want to. The guy who is dancing on all your favorite players made Dejounte Murray look a little small, but you don't want to talk about that. Okay, it's cool. Jalen Brunson will continue this all-star snub tour for the rest of the season. I have been so impressed by this man. I looked at the numbers, Jay, just for fun and comparisons of what a number one option and Donovan Mitchell was shooting and doing right now. Do you know that Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell's numbers are scary similar, like
Yeah.
in everything?
Yeah.
But Donovan Mitchell's the number one option, Jay. Jalen Brunson, I heard, was the number 3 option on a championship team. Am I? The math doesn't add up here, Jay. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I believe he's now shooting the best 3-point percentage on the team.
Is he? I think he is, Jay. Oh my God.
He is lethal about 10 feet from the basket. He's got that little move where he stops short. He either does a floater or pivots, like draws a foul. It's beautiful to watch. His footwork is amazing.
Yes.
And then just, some people get on him because he doesn't get enough assists. I would argue that the Knicks don't have a lot of shooters. And if RJ wasn't going 0 for 6 from 3 every game, maybe Brunson averages 7, 8. He's still averaging over 6 assists a game.
Career high, but go ahead.
Maybe averages 8 or 9 if the Knicks had some actual shooters on the team.
Imagine Grimes and Barrett hit their shots.
Yeah.
Might have 9, 10 assists a game.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk
Absolutely.
about that, right? Okay.
Absolutely. So he's been amazing. I'm hoping that Luka gets really pissed that he doesn't have enough help now that Brunson's gone and asks out. And then the Knicks like, hey, we got all these draft picks. You guys love trading with the Knicks. Let's do that.
Hey, listen, man. For your mouth to God's ears, I hope it happens because I would love to see Luka in a Knicks. That would be the first Knicks jersey I pre-order.
Yeah.
Like, that would be that jersey. Let me ask you this about Jalen Brunson. I've had this conversation on my spaces. By the way, everybody who's listening, I do have a space every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. where we talk Knicks live. I have bring everybody up who listens to the show, and we talk, just you and I, like me and Jared talking. We talk the same way with me, and whoever's great and is good on the show, they make it to the pod that happens after. So definitely check that out. But when I was running these spaces, Jay, I asked the question: is Jalen Brunson a number 2 option at the very least on a championship team? Now, in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing, well, my eye test and what the stats are telling me, he's a number 2 option. At the very least, he's a number 2 option. But some people still try to make it seem like he might not be, even when the numbers are blatantly clear that the people that you may think are number 1 options, Brunson's doing it either the same or better. So you have to, again, it has to make sense to me. Jay, is Jalen Brunson a number 2 option at least on a championship team?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. His defense has also been better than people have given him credit for. I believe he's playing better defense than Donovan Mitchell. And if they're playing similar offensive numbers, I don't know. What do you want to take from that?
And also, Jalen Brunson is one of the lead charge getters in the league. I mean, he draws charges like nobody's business. But you guys don't want to talk about that. You want to keep calling them undersized. Bet you ain't talking about the contract anymore. Man, it's been a long time since I heard that overpaid thing.
Yeah.
Man, it's been so long since I've heard anybody say that Jalen Brunson was overpaid. He's making that contract look like the biggest steal in franchise history.
Seriously.
Oh, it's ridiculous. This is a bargain deal for somebody who's arguably an all-star, who's going to make an all-NBA team this year. Like, there's no denying that. Go ahead. Name me 3 better small guards on the East than Jalen Brunson right now. I'll wait. Nobody's going to answer that.
You're going to be waiting a while.
Yeah, nobody's going to argue it with me. I promise you. Because if you're even going by the numbers, not even the eye test, you can't argue that. And if you go by the eye test, there's no way you can argue that. Jay already said it. He's a mid-range assassin. As soon as he's in the mid-range, you better watch out. There's a reason he gets doubled as soon as he goes into the freaking paint, because he's unstoppable once he gets into the paint. And if he doesn't make the basket, which he almost always does on those pivot ant ones, which I love to watch, stop, pivot, get hit, take the contact. He's so strong. He doesn't get any credit for how strong he is.
Yeah.
You know how much contact he takes down there? How much he gets pushed around, shoved down to the ground, and gets back up? There are no complaints for Jalen Brunson in my book. Best signing in free agency this offseason by a mile. It's not even close. Actually, you know what? It is close. The next closest is Isaiah Hartenstein. That's the next closest.
Yep.
Okay? Because Hartenstein's playing into his contract. He was garbage during the beginning of the season. He gave an apology, Jay. I'm sorry. I know I've been playing bad. Boom. Lights on. What happened? How did he get like this? He's legit become the solid number 2 backup to Mitchell Robinson. Jay, what do you think about Hartenstein at this point?
It's great. Sometimes it just clicks. You know, it's a new team. He's learning a new system, playing with new players, and it took a little bit. People wanted to write him off after like 10 games, and he got it now. And when Mitch comes back, I don't think Hart is going to lose any minutes at all. I think we'll just not see Sims.
Yeah.
I think Hart's played himself into a solid role. He's rebounding, he's defending. He's starting to shoot a little better too. So I like what I've been seeing.
He looks tough out there as well too. Like his demeanor out there has changed. You know.
Yeah.
I
He
feel
looked
like
good earlier. Yeah.
right, and he was smiling a little bit too much in the beginning. You know, like I noticed all that. Now he's just really focused and serious. That's really altered his game. Like he looks way more into the games now than he was before. So it's really good for me to watch that and see that as a Knicks fan because it shows change. And it for me, it shows why, you had to believe some players sometimes. Sometimes they just don't know, they don't got it, and they need to look at themselves. Hart looked at himself and look what happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about you, man. Sometimes if you admit that, sometimes your game gets better. Julius Randle probably had to do the same thing. He's having the best, season of his career.
Yeah.
It's
and like we said earlier, having another threat on the court, Brunson and Randall get doubled more than they get doubled on every single play. So if you have Hart stepping it up, and then you have if RJ gets it together, you can't double anymore, and then that changes everything. So there's a lot of potential still, a lot of untapped potential at this team.
That's the sad part. We're 75% in, still untapped potential. We should have figured it out. RJ Barrett really needed to figure it out. He's really the biggest potential that we have there. As soon as he puts the pieces together, I think Knicks are going to be lights out, and they're going to attract a lot of talent once that happens.
Well, maybe this Josh Hart thing will also, he'll be like, I'm now expendable. They could just start playing Josh Hart 35 minutes a game, so I better get my act together.
I posed a question, and it's good that you said that because we can get into the conversation about it now. IQ, Grimes, and Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most talked about players right now in regards to who should start, who should be on the bench, this and that.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, a lot of people, I said this on Twitter. I got killed. My God, I got killed on this. I don't know why I got killed on my take. I said IQ should start.
Mm-hmm.
I have reasons for why IQ should start. I feel like he's lived out his role on the bench. He's learned what he can on that development. He saw him as a starter, and he did great as a starter. People are going to tell me RJ wasn't in the lineup. I don't care. He still did good as a starter. And you know what? I trust him to knock down those open shots more than I trust anybody else who Jalen Brunson passes it to. I'll tell you that right now, if he's on the floor. So that should tell you something right there. He's way more efficient when it comes to that. Now, people are going to tell me, well, then you sacrifice your bench. Okay. Now, what did we watch Quentin Grimes do in the Rising Star game? Okay. Mm-hmm. So we know he has way more game than he ever gets to show with the starting unit. And we know that when you're on a starting unit, your touches and your play is going to get limited. Although I feel like with his game, he has a way bigger bag than we can ever see with him playing with the starters. He goes on the bench, he'll get the IQ treatment where he'll get to run and lead that team, be the centerpiece that squad is a go-to person for. Like he's going to be the go-to guy for that squad when they're running it. Or it's going to be him and Barrett when they, do the 9-man rotation and switch a player out, right?
Yep.
They're going to have those two threats on the floor. And he'll have a way bigger bag. He'll be able to play within that potential. You keep him with the starters, you'll get good defense, and maybe you'll get somebody who can knock a three down. But he has such a good game. He's such a high IQ player. His assists are great. He's such an underrated playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people couldn't see the switch. And it's like quickly, you're not losing defense. Quickly's one of the better defending guards in the league. You're not losing defense there. So
yeah, I saw some metric. It was, I think, Raptor or whatever. He was like number one in the entire NBA. Like,
I'm just
defense is off the charts. Yeah,
right. And he's took it to another level this season too. You gotta admit that. And by the way, he's gonna get paid, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna pay him what 100 because he's probably gonna command 100 million at least because he's gonna get vied by other teams are gonna want him.
Yeah.
$100 million is probably what he's gonna command. Are you gonna tell me you're gonna pay him 100 million and sit him on the bench?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that, especially if Grimes is going to be streaky hitting the three. I mean, they're both kind of streaky shooters.
Yeah.
But, I think you're right. I think Grimes can do more with the bench, and You know, just I think that starting lineup's lethal with IQ in there.
It's I don't see nobody sees that. They see that, oh, you're gonna ruin the bench. What if you unlock the bench?
Mhm.
What if they play more? You know, IQ does command the bench a lot, but he commands the bench a lot because he's more of a combo scoring guard.
Mhm.
We've seen Grimes have no problem making somebody else look better and giving up the ball. So I think I argue you'll see Obi get more touches with that unit because I feel like if you keep Grimes and Obi together, I feel like they have a better connection than IQ and Obi do,
Mhm.
especially because Grimes is a more willing passer than IQ is.
Yeah.
So I think you get the benefit just off of that. For me, it makes a lot of sense. If you don't think so, I don't care. I'm just saying. For me, it makes sense. I like that lineup, but you don't have to worry. You don't have to kill me. You're not gonna see it. Okay. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Tom Thibodeau is not changing a thing. Don't worry about it. You'll see the same lineup tomorrow. I promise.
Well,
Don't worry.
I propose starting Hart over Barrett, and people didn't like that either. But
Listen, the numbers unfortunately support that. If you look by the numbers and you look what Josh Hart's basically done throughout his season with Portland and here, although he played a different role in Portland that he's playing here, they're shockingly surprising. Just saying. I mean, like it's clear to see his impact. I don't think you'll see that. Just because I feel like Tom Thibodeau is want to keep more size out there, and he won't want to run the gamut of keeping more smaller guards out there. Even though RJ Barrett's not that much taller than Josh Hart, but still, I think that's how he sees Barrett, and kind of the same way he sees Randall, where he kind of, regardless of what happens, he'll play him. I think Barrett has that kind of similar light underneath him. I see Thibodeau see RJ Barrett in that light. I think Thibodeau kind of knows that RJ Barrett is the type of player that will respond to benching in a different way. I'm not trying to give Thibs any credit though for benching this man. I think players respond to that regardless. But we'll talk about Thibs in a second. I don't want to get too far into the weeds here. But yeah, going back to the IQ Grimes and Hart situation, you said that you wanted Hart to start over Barrett. Can you see a situation? I think you said that you could see a situation where IQ could start over Grimes, but we don't expect that to happen this season, right? Like
No.
that, a change like that will happen until maybe next season. Yeah.
the only change that's going to happen is Sims is going to disappear and Mitch is coming back. That's it. That's
Disappear like Forrest Gump on a bench.
exactly.
Oh God. Oh man. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Wizards game that we're going to be coming up with soon here. So Wizards and Knicks, we got them tomorrow. It's going to be Friday night Knicks. We haven't seen Friday night Knicks in God knows how long. I'm very happy for that though.
Mhm.
They might be without Beal if I remember the injury report. So the Knicks will be facing the Washington Wizards. The Wizards might be without Beal. He missed the last two practices. Normally, when that happens, you're likely not going to play that game.
Yep.
Not going to lie. Might be happy without a Beal. That's a path to victory right there because the Wizards have been playing really, really well. Kyle Kuzma, guy has been playing for his contract all season, putting up career numbers. Kristaps Porzingis, also a guy playing for a contract, putting up career numbers. Very interesting because I don't think the Wizards can pay them both. And I don't know how they're going to make that choice. So it's going to be interesting what they do. But they don't have Beal tomorrow. I see this as not an instant win, but it's definitely more winnable without Beal because of what Beal can provide instantly offensively. He's just an instant scoring threat no matter where he is. If he's coming healthy, sometimes he can come off an injury and drop like 35. I remember there was a game last season, I think, where he did that. He's capable. So I don't want to see him come off an injury and do that to us. I hope he's out, honestly. But if he does play, I feel like the Knicks may have a harder chance of winning this game. People are not giving the Wizards enough credit. They haven't been healthy all year. They've been out with a lot of injuries. So if they get it together fully healthy, they can make a final push. I'm not saying they're going to get anywhere significant, might make play-in, but they can give the Knicks a run for their money, especially this play-in team has now made the entire league get competitive in games where they weren't before. So in that regard, it's made basketball a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Beal's status right now is officially questionable. He's day to day. So
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. I mean, last game I went to was actually against the Wizards, and yeah, Kuzma and KP are looking good. They're a little worse now after trading Rui. So
Interesting. I haven't heard anybody say that actually. A lot of people were saying the Lakers got somebody back that's great. but that, the trade wasn't really helpful for them. Why do you think that?
Why do I think the Wizards are worse?
Yeah.
I I think Rui's a decent player. And who'd they get back? Like,
I'm trying to think who they got back for that trade. I don't follow so many other trades besides the Knicks. Not fully, anyways. I forget who. I gotta look that up. Actually, I'm not sure who they got back in that trade. Maybe one people in the chats can help us out, but I'm not sure who they got back with that trade. But yeah, but the Rui trade themselves, I know they got a couple of second rounders. I think back.
Thomas Bryant and Kendrick Nunn. I'd call that a downgrade.
Well, Kendrick Nunn is. I mean, he's missed the entire season. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's not great. And they got a couple of second rounders, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking about like going into the game.
Oh yeah. That's right. I guess you lost the body. I guess there's somebody who can actually play good defense as well too. He's been doing that for the Lakers too. Yeah. Okay. All right. You got it, Jay.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
So not even if Beal plays, you wouldn't be worried.
Didn't have heart last time we played.
Oh man, Jay. All right, I got to throw it back at you now, man. How much is your belief in Josh Hart? Like, where is your level of belief on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't think
Josh
I've
Hart?
ever bought into a new Knicks acquisition quicker. He fit in seamlessly. He had 3 awesome games. The team looked like a completely different team with him there,
Right.
like night and day. And Mitch is probably back by Friday, so like, bring it. Yeah. I'm not worried.
Ooh. See what you just said, Wizard fans? Said bring it.
Oh,
Said you ain't
correction.
shit.
Correction, just Kendrick Nunn, not Thomas Bryant. So yeah.
Even worse.
Yeah.
Even worse. All right, you definitely got it, Jay. I give it to you in your 13 years. You got it, bro. I give it to you. Let's go into the last part of this before we go to the rapid fire, which I'm gonna love as well too. So we gotta talk about the first round, right? Now I know we were talking about it a little bit initially, but we didn't really get into the whole weeds of it all, right? So I know I want the Cavs. I know you said that Philly is good for you, right? We can all agree though that we do not want in any way Boston or Milwaukee. Yes?
We could definitely agree on that. Yes.
Okay, because there are some fans that believe we are a better matchup against Boston than we are against the Cavs. I asked why, and they said that, now we have better defense.
Okay.
Do you understand that the Celtics have like some of the best shooters around them, right? Their bench has Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, and Hauser, this kid Hauser, who dropped, I forget how many threes on us the last time we played them in the Garden. They can shoot, and the Knicks leave the corners open. That's how they play defense. Are you out of your freaking mind?
They made the finals last year and got better. That's not a team I want to play. No, that is not a team I want to play.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know. The other one is Milwaukee because of Middleton. So Middleton obviously has been out for an injury. When he came back, he hasn't looked right. I think that's a fair point. I mean, he hasn't really looked right. He's been putting up some numbers, but they don't look the same as they did before. I don't know the severity of the injury. I don't know if he's like rehabbing it still, which is possible. I mean, because he may want to just play. But I don't think Milwaukee would have done that with his injury. I think they would have brought him along slow before he started.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a feasible argument. I think he has, unfortunately, like most players do from injury, it's going to take a little bit of a road ahead before they can kind of get it all back. I don't know with the Bucks right now, but obviously that's Middleton. You take the rest of the Bucks with Holiday and Giannis, that's enough for almost any team to get bounced. So, and I think, what have they won? Have they lost like since December? Well, they're like a 13, 14 game winning streak, right? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Middleton is obviously really good, but they're crazy deep even without Middleton. I mean, you still got Crowder, Ingles, and Portis coming off the bench. So like, it's a really good team. And
right. They're deep as hell, and they have championship aspirations. And God forbid Middleton does figure it out. I mean, call that sewn up for the East. I think if that happens, I think they're better than Boston, honestly, because they're deeper than Boston now.
I think the only reason they lost last year was because of Middleton's injury.
Right. Absolutely. I give it to that too.
12-game winning streak. Thank you, stats guy.
12 freaking games, and Middleton's barely playing like he should. Could y'all imagine? I don't want that smoke. I hope to God we don't see them at all, because I don't think there's a way we can beat Giannis and them. It's impossible. They outmatch us in every way, not only with talent but with the abilities that they have as well too. Their bench is crazy. It's
Yeah.
not even any joke. It's
Their whole
nuts.
bench is a bunch of shooters, so it's really
It's scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary. I'm not there's I'm not even entertaining that. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm done. I'm done with that. Just
Mhm.
make sure we all realize that the Knicks are going to play the Wizards. I hope the Knicks do beat the Wizards. They have the best opportunity to. Beal's not there. I don't have the highest faith like Jay does that it's easy, or like not easy, but at least winnable in that regard with Beal and them playing. I love Hart, but I need to see consistency for more than I got to see at least 10 games with Hart to kind of make my assessment and my judgment. But
Mhm.
clearly, right now, it's working, and we're undefeated with them, right?
3-0.
That's something. That's something to say. So let's go to rapid fire, Jay. I know we got to get out of here. And I want to make sure that we get the fans what they wanted. They always love this rapid fire. I can't wait to go through it with you. Are you ready, bro?
I am ready. Let's do it.
All right. So Knicks going to the second round, yes or no?
Depends on the matchup.
You got to give me a yes or no.
Okay. So I'm gonna say they finish 5th. Yes, second round.
Perfect. Let's go. All right. Will Melo retire a Knick?
No.
Will Tom Thibodeau be fired if they get swept in the first round?
No.
If they go to the playoffs this year, but they don't make it past the second round, will they make a move for a major star?
Yes. I think that's Tibbs's master plan.
Yep.
I think that's what all those picks are sitting there for. That's why I Bleacher Report wrote the stupidest article saying that the Knicks messed up because they didn't get rid of Fournier and Rose. Why do you think they're there? Those contracts make a trade easier. They're going to be throw-ins to match salaries because some players are making 40, 50 million a year now, and the Knicks don't have anybody making in the ballpark of that. So you got to throw in a $17 million Fournier.
So let's ask this then. Let's say we said second round, right?
Yeah.
We think they're going to make the playoffs, right? So they just make the playoffs.
Mhm.
Take it to 6 games and lose in the first.
Mhm.
Same question. Do they add a star this offseason?
I think that's the plan either way.
Same. I
Even
do
if
too.
they make the conference finals, I think the plan is to get an all-star, another all-star.
Right. And I think they're waiting for that next disgruntled star to emerge, or find somebody for greener pastures here. I don't know if they're waiting for Donovan's contract in 2 years. They could be doing that too. Listen, man, I don't know. But here's the thing that I want people to understand. The Leon Rose thing, right? And I've been one of his biggest critics. What I can say, though, is that he's been offered deals where he could have moved first round picks, RJ, and all these things, right? But he had a line in the sand moment.
Yeah.
And stuck to it, regardless of this thing happening or not happening, or this player not being included, or whatever the case may be. He's done this a few times. If you want to believe the reports with Bagley, he's talked about the Zach Levine interest. They called, they made an offer, but the Knicks only made an offer to a certain extent.
Which I'm so happy about. I was frozen in fear for about 3 hours when those Levine rumors were swirling around, man. Would not have been good.
No, listen, I think we're all out with Levine, especially if it's going to be RJ. That's because I think the age and injuries for me is always a thing. And you know how Knicks fans are. If you've been a fan like me and Jay for years, injuries, trading for a player with injuries brings back some very toxic memories that I don't want to think about. So, yeah, you have to be healthy. And if we have a healthy young dog who barely missed a game, yeah, he's struggling right now. But if he can turn it on like we know he can, and he can finish out the season well and finish in the playoffs well, I think people won't even care about 75%. As scary as that sounds, it's really about how you finish versus how you start, even though we have a little bit of remaining. RJ still has a chance to change Knick fans' mind, but if he finishes out this season barely doing anything or looking just as weak, he'll be criticized not only for the entire offseason, but they'll have even a bigger microscope on this kid, Jay, as soon as he starts the season.
Let's be honest, he's the one who's getting traded if they trade for a star. They're not trading Brunson or Randall.
You think Obi's going to be part of that deal as well? I see them both potentially, depending how big the star.
If anybody wants him.
Damn. God damn, Jay, you about to end the show? I thought we were talking happier pastures here, and you want to end with that fire? God damn. All right, you know what? Let's talk about it real quick then. I got a few minutes here. Obi, what's your thoughts on Obi? You think that he can be the talent that we thought we drafted, or do you think he's just doomed to be a role player?
I think he definitely doesn't have the talent that I think a lot of Knicks Twitter thinks. They think if we trade Randall, Obi's just going to be the all-star in his place. And I don't agree with that. I do think he has more potential than he shows being Randall's backup, but it is what it is. Randall's the guy on the team, and unfortunately, Obi's the backup. And so whoever the Knicks get as a backup for is going to probably get the same amount of minutes. So I don't think there's anything we could do about that. You could say, oh, we should play small ball, but with iHeart and Mitch, there's no minutes at the center. So unless he can get much, much better on defense and shift up to the 3, it is what it is.
And even if he gets better with defense at the 3, I mean, you have to be able to shoot when you're at the 3 consistently. I argue he doesn't even have that. I've been a little critical of Obi, of also the coaching staff. It's both. You have to be able to utilize and play plays for your players and how they develop. And Obi hasn't had many of any plays really ran for him. So, and you can't use Obi like Steve Novak because he's not Steve Novak. So get out of the corner, but it's also on Obi as well, too. I mean, if you don't have the shot, then drive it, you have the ability to do that as well, too. But if you think you're going to get yanked, maybe that stops you from doing it. He doesn't have the body either to do a lot of the moves that he did in college. He's not as strong, honestly. I know a lot of people say he's stronger than his size is. I get that, but his legs are barely anything. Like he can't bang down low. And I'm not saying that's his game per se, but you want to develop your game. He should be able to bang if he's a power forward. And you have Julius Randle, the freak of nature with you. You should be able to learn something from him in terms of training. Because if he gets stronger, his game gets better.
Yeah.
I really do feel that way with Obi. So I think it's just about conditioning. And then also the coaching staff also running plays for him. Throwing him out there just to run is not development. It's cardio. It's not the same.
It seems like Tibbs doesn't really have any plays. I would like to see more of that all around.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about that lack of adjustments, Jay, I mean, we can go on and on in the list in terms of, listen, I'll say it right now. Tibbs, as of what we're seeing right now, clearly he's not a bad coach, but he's hit a ceiling with this team. He can only take them as far as they can go. And I think, and I argue that this team unlocks a new level under a different coach, somebody who's not so worried about system ball so much, and they allow the players a little bit more freedom. I think when you see that and you have the same commitment on the defensive end, which is possible, by the way, I think you unlock a new level for this team. They play better, in my opinion. But again, it's an opinion. I don't know what I'll see on a different coach. And I know what I'm seeing on the top Thibodeau, which right now it's really hard to put the guy down. And I was one of his biggest, anti-fans for him in the whole way. Man, I did not like him in the beginning of the season. Didn't like him during the losing streak. There are moments, but I can't sit here and say he hasn't turned it around. It's like if I give Randall credit, if I give, all these other players credit for doing what they're doing, I also got to give credit to the guy I don't want to give credit to, which is Tom Thibodeau, because he's the reason we're here, right? We're in the 6th seed because he shortened the lineup, right?
Yeah, I mean, his offensive scheme seems non-existent. He doesn't have any plays going out of a timeout, but players play really hard for him, and he gets a lot out of a roster that, I mean, look at the difference his first year with the team. It was almost the same roster as the year before, but they were much, much better.
Yeah.
Say what you want about his point guard situation, but he didn't have a real point guard on the roster anyway. So I can't really blame him for that. The team looked a lot better under Tibbs. He's not like an A+ coach, but he's a solid B, and you could do a lot worse than that.
That's true. And some nights he's a C, especially when he lets a team go on a 10-0 run, let our lead go away and not call a timeout. But that's nonetheless, either way, you got to give him some credit, like Jay said, good and bad. That's kind of with every coach. And sometimes he has more bad than good, but you have to acknowledge the good sometimes. And the Knicks are winning. We're a playoff team as we speak right now. The season ended today, folks. We'd be a playoff team.
Playing Philly.
Oh, God. No, I don't want it. I don't care what y'all say. I don't want Philly. Okay. They're not going to be bad against us. Watch. Harden's going to have the best playoff series of his life if we play them in the first round. I don't want Philly. I repeat, I don't want Philly. Basketball gods, please, guys, do not give us Philly. Please. I don't want them.
We got 2 questions if you have a minute.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Greg writes, imagine what happened to Brooklyn happened to the Knicks. Kyrie, Harden, Durant signed with us and then left us hanging. Can we say that we won the free agency by not signing them? Imagine us being the laughing stock again if that happened to our team.
You want to take this, Jay, or should I set fire to the room? You let me know.
Burn it down.
All right, guys. This Nets team, this New Jersey Nets team, all right? I'm not calling them Brooklyn no more. These New Jersey Nets rebuilt their franchise once and saw it all crumble down. And that was on the back of old, definitely couldn't contribute any more veterans. I'm sorry. Love KG to death. He passed his prime at that point. Then they actually built a playoff team and leveraged that team to get KD and Kyrie, 2 players that the Knicks were supposed to get. And those 2 said, you know what? You thought they were going to burn it down? Watch this.
Hold my beer.
Set gasoline to the whole place. And then Kyrie said, I'm out. Flick. Burned. And they're like, all right. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Don't worry about it. We're calling the fire trucks. And then a bomb explodes. KD goes out. There ain't no more Brooklyn. I'm sorry. When you break your franchise twice in less than a decade, it's an error, not an era.
Mm-hmm.
They have broken it. They need to go back to Jersey and rethink this. Let Barclay become the music central of New York, okay? We don't need another stadium. We don't need another team. We were good before. We're good now. If this happened to the Knicks, guys, we were talking about the Melo trade yesterday. What do you think would have happened? They would have slaughtered us on media. They would have made 2 stories an hour about how this franchise had been put back 30 to 50 years. They would have not made any, means about saying, oh, they got first round picks. Oh, they got talent. That would have been a understory. Nobody would have even cared. Wouldn't have been anything. And we would have been talking about this in spaces, on Twitter, everywhere for probably another 10 to 15 years.
I feel like the chatter is almost quieted down already, which is absolutely insane. They need to be made fun of way more.
I created 2 graphics, man. I took the little girl out of the photo that's smiling at the fire, and I put Kyrie Irving and KD there, okay? Because that's how I feel what they did to Brooklyn. They ran out, left it to burn. But why are we not talking about it? Why? Because they are the stepchild in New York. And just like they had to push free tickets when all 3 of their best players are in the playoffs.
That was amazing.
It's because nobody gives a fuck about Brooklyn. I'm sorry. Love the borough, hate the team.
When they first moved here, we did cutting down the Nets, where we just made fun of the Nets for 2 minutes each episode. It got too easy. We had to stop.
Right. Because you could make fun of the Nets every second if you wanted to. At this point, it's not fun anymore. But I don't care if it's not fun anymore. Okay. They need more stories like this. They're an embarrassment of a franchise. And if it was the Knicks, we would have been shitted on for 15 years, probably. We would have traded for 2 All-Stars and still heard about, you see what those things did, though? They didn't do that. They probably would have been at the chip fast, or it would have been tainted, everything. So, yes, absolutely, it would have been a bigger issue for the Knicks. And I'm so happy we escaped the dumpster fire, and I get to watch it burn every fucking day.
I would argue this might be the most embarrassing thing ever to happen to an NBA team.
It's hard to find anything else. 3 Hall of Fame All-Star players. And the best player you got back, no disrespect because I love him, is Mikal Bridges.
Yeah. And Simmons isn't even playable.
Who?
He's playing like 9 minutes a game now. It's absolutely insane. Anyway.
And getting paid the most money on this team.
It's awesome. And the last question, Andrew says, would you trade for Embiid with his injury history?
Yes. Immediately. He's in the MVP race for a reason. Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You can put Mitchell Robinson in that deal. I'll take him right now. You think we don't need a center that can freaking stretch the floor and play defense? Now, he's not a better defender than Mitch, but Mitch will never be as offensively gifted than Embiid, ever.
Light years ahead offensively.
That's the easiest question. There's no doubt. I would trade Mitch and 4 first-round picks. Hopefully some protected picks can take the weight off of that. But if there needs to be 3 unprotected and 2 protected and, a couple seconds, do it. Do it in a heartbeat. For Embiid, this team goes from a 6th seed to a potential 3rd seed if you add Embiid to it. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and Joel Embiid, and Josh Hart.
It's a better version of Philly.
And don't forget, we got Quickly. Better version of Maxey. Oops.
He said
okay. I don't want to say that too loud.
Zion.
What did I say? Who? Zion? From the Pelicans? You mean that guy who hasn't played in the last 20 games?
I wouldn't do it.
We want to trade. What, are we asking trade who? For RJ for Zion?
Anybody.
I'm not trading for fucking Zion Williamson at this point.
No.
Look at his injury. Has he played a full season? No, right?
No. I mean, if you add up all 3 of his seasons, he's a little over a full season.
Yeah. No. Nah. No. There's a reason his contract has so many damn provisions in it.
Yeah.
No, bro. Listen, he's a talent. And when he's healthy and he's with that Pelicans team, they look like a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no denying that. But you want that injury history? I'd rather take KP's injury history at this point.
I don't want to trade for anybody with injury history anymore. We've had 20 years of this. I'm done with it.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to go for those bargain bin deals, man. I'm sorry, man. Those deals never work. They never work. We've seen it too many times, Jay. They never work. We always get the fucking end of the stick and we always get fucked over. I'm not doing it anymore. I agree with you, Jay. If it's not a star or it's not somebody that we know is a perennial star, like a KD who went down injury, but like he's fucking KD. Yeah. Like those type of guys, I'll take you any day. I don't care. I'll take you. All right. But there's a line to this shit. All right. Please stop making Zach LaVine in my mentions. Please stop doing it. I don't want Zach LaVine. I don't care if he's balling out right now. The next injury to Zach LaVine is his career. Okay. The next injury Zach LaVine has, if it's to his knees, his career is over. He won't be the same player anymore. He'll have to adjust it with shooting. And if you think Zach LaVine can shoot it like Kobe Bryant, good luck to you. Okay. Not going to happen, but good luck to you. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Jay, you have any more questions from the squad over there?
Nope, that's it. The Knicks recap on Twitter. Keep those awesome graphics going. Love them.
I appreciate you. I definitely got some heat coming. I had Jericho Sims one out where he's asked Forrest Gump, which I love because that's exactly where he's headed. Just tagged to the bench like Forrest Gump. And I just created one for the late, great Biggie Smalls with Jalen Brunson because there was no way in hell I could see a Jalen Brunson Afro pick and not put him on the Ready to Die album cover. It was one of my favorite graphics to do. So I appreciate the love. Definitely follow if you're not already, not only at the Knicks recap, but definitely follow at the New York Knicks podcast as well too. Again, their @'s going to be on the screen. Definitely give them a follow. Love and support is free. We're going to do this again once Mark is back so we can, have the whole crew together and do a whole recap show. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but I'm sure we're going to get together with that. Also, I have an Ian Bagley interview next week, March 3rd at 9 a.m. Him and I will be chopping it up about the Knicks, about the NBA. I'll be asking tough questions and hopefully getting some great answers for you guys. So definitely check that show out and a lot more good things to come. So really excited and I can't wait. But don't forget, Knick fans, to like, subscribe, and follow us. We'll see you later, guys. Peace and love. Listen to new episodes of The Knicks Recap, streaming every Friday.